into it. So let's begin the YouTube video. There is that. Today, I was thinking about having the ship move when we press the up button. So right now, here's what happens. Let's go into the asteroids. Oh, right. I made some changes to the workspace. I got rid of get the streamer game, went out into another directory, so it's just these two. So when I press the up button, the little rocket engines fire, which is pretty cool, pretty nice. So what I want to do next is I want to have, when I press the up button, the ship moves forward. So right now we're facing to the right. So I want it to move, well, to the right. And I guess like it's a good question, is like, what is our heading? Like, what are we rotated at? Perhaps like something to do with that is to add a rotation in and then apply that rotation. Can I apply the rotation while I'm building the mesh? So in create mesh here, what would that look like? Okay, so no freeze, so triangles. All right, so expect. Can I rotate? There's no. All right. I think what I need to do is go to the actual documentation for this. Get over here. Let's see, do I have, oh no, those are all standard. This is what I want. Over here, and then we're gonna go to the mesh builder. So if I do triangles, okay, so it's just a function, it's just gonna return a game result. Okay, that's fine. But it does mean I can't actually like rotate it at this point, unfortunately. How about a mesh? So basically new, like from all these things. Okay, that's fine. But I can't, it looks like I can't actually rotate it here. That's gonna be a draw param. And draw params happen when it's drawed. When it's drawn? Drawn. So that's a little bit too bad. Right now, if I were to rotate this, let's see. It's in our draw system, right? Okay, so here we have our draw param new. If I do something like a rotation of, I don't know, 50, whatever that means, and we rerun this. Yeah, I was afraid about that. Well, that's not too bad. But the problem is it's rotating the entire thing based upon like the entire mesh, and so it's not staying exactly where it was here. which is a little bit too bad because it was in a center and it sort of like went around. So I'm thinking until we run into any kind, like some kind of performance issues, I'm thinking that it might be better to have a mesh per entity, really, and just draw that. And if we need to, we could have like a single draw over all of the meshes in that way. I don't think there's a way to combine meshes together, which would be really nice. Because like, can I do a mesh builder from a mesh? Because I don't think I can do like okay, so I have raw. Now can I from a mesh like reverse it? There's like from raw. Oh, and absolutely none of these things are public, so I can't even get into them to sort of see it. Okay, so that's a problem also. All right, so that's a little bit sad. I think what I'm gonna do is for right now, we're gonna come back out to the main library and we're going to register. Okay, so we need to go into the names. So we have, oh, we have a mesh. Okay, that's perfect. Names, mesh. For this component type, it's gonna be a component mesh. Then we're going to, I guess it hasn't been in a resource. Well, it has been a resource so far, hasn't it? Oh, we've been adding the resource over there. So I think for this one, for create the player with component, and then it's gonna be like that the player mesh. So we're also gonna want like another function here to create player mesh. I don't necessarily need the world here. I do need the context. And I'm just gonna return a game result with a mesh inside. So in here, we're gonna come back out to create mesh, and I'm just gonna put this inside of here. So it's gonna be a little bit easier. So we're just gonna do this mesh builder. So we're gonna do a new mesh builder. So do a mesh builder, new. We need to create these triangles that are facing to the right. They're going to go above this. Oh, and this is going to be interesting. Do we need to like create the player mesh with a rocket on it too? I wonder if we're going to need to do that. That's going to be interesting. To like replace this mesh instead of translate it. Oh, that'll be interesting. The other option is I could have like that create mesh up here is like a whole bunch of them. Yeah, it's an interesting question because I can either create Yeah, let's try it this way first. I may like come back around to like this idea and do a hybrid. There's a lot of ideas that I have in my mind with how this could potentially work. For right now, I think this might be the easiest way. Is okay. So let player triangles. We do this. We're going to do a mesh builder new. Do it dot triangles. Reference to the player triangles, and then the color. I make you white. We have to question mark you, and then we have to build you, and context, and that's it. So you're going to be a mint 0.2. Okay, we do need the location of where the player is. Oh, this is going to be starting with 0, isn't it? Okay, so this is actually going to be slightly different. We do need the player size though. So if we do that, we're going to say that our location is starting in the very center. So in the center, and then we want like moving over to the right. So really that's just going to be player size divided by 2.0, and then 0.0 for you. And then we're going to move down. So that's going to be just a negative player size divided by 2.0 and a player size divided by 2.0 when going down. And then it's going to be another negative player size divided by 2.0 and a yes, this will also be a negative player size divided by 2.0. We need to pull you into, so you know what that is. And I think that'll be it for right now. Okay, so then in create player, I'm gonna need the player size. The player size, and we have the context. I guess that's it, isn't it? Oh, the context. We do need the context. Okay, so with that, then with component, name. Okay. I mean names. We need to update this. We need a player mesh, don't we? Let's actually just update this mesh here. Okay, so player mesh, which means up here we need to update you too. Data. Okay, so we have all of this stuff. The data is gonna be the mesh. And so that's gonna be the itself, create player mesh, and the context, hand that player size, question mark this, because it's returning this result. We need to actually return a game result. Ooh. I guess it's gonna be incompatible, isn't it? Or not? Ooh, okay, that's nice. Then you, all right, what do you need? You need the player size and the context. The player size, we decided you were that. Let's go ahead and just set this. Then that gives us that. And we've created the player. That does mean that for the systems for create mesh, we just don't need you anymore. So I'm gonna move you to recycle bin. Okay, so we have that in draw. Instead of getting this mesh like this, so it's gonna be different now, right? We're now gonna say, get us. We have to get the meshes. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. We can just totally have this be the mesh. It can just be a mesh because each entity has a mesh. So in the main library, so wherever it is, names player mesh, we'll change this to names mesh. All right, perfect. Then, okay, so in our draw system, we need to query for all those meshes. So let wrapped meshes equal to query 1. And this is going to be the names mesh. We need to unwrap you. Did I not pull in? Oh, I pulled in world methods. Okay, so you're going to do an option. So unwrap you, that gives us our RC ref cell. So then we can borrow. We just need to borrow. But I don't think we can do like a world. So we can't cast yet. So then let's cast it now. So these are going to be the meshes. It's going to be equal to the wrapped message cast. It's an unknown. Oh, and we have to. I don't know if I can question mark that. I wonder here if I could just do like a result then. Can I just do an error result? Okay, so you need to know what this is. Now I'm wondering, can I actually use the turbofish syntax here on wrap meshes? So I can say that you're going to be a vec of mesh. No. Yeah, type arguments aren't allowed for this type. Can I put you in here? Nope, I can't put it in here either. So this has to go here. And it sort of auto figures it out. Okay, so then we have our meshes now, and it's this vector of mesh, which means I can now loop through these meshes. So we do meshes dot iter, do a for each. Let's see, what else do I want inside of here? Oh, this can be a try for each. This is going to give us a mesh. And then we're going to do our graphics draw. Okay, so our context, our drawable, and then our good old draw param, new, and then I'm not going to put anything else on that right now. We're going to return its result, and I'm going to return its result here. So that should just sort of go all the way through. Expected Result of nothing. Found. Oh, okay. So I can't do that. I don't think I could even do that, can I? This works though. Okay, so then we have this draw system here. I'm got 4 errors. Let's go ahead and fix these. Let's see, an update. Yeah, we're no longer doing a create mesh there. Oh, could not be converted to a game result error. Okay, fine. We'll do an unwrap then. All right, no more errors. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. I see the player up here. Up here in the top left. Okay, excellent. So that means we can now come down to our draw system. And I now need to destination it to a location, which means we need to also get, so wrapped locations is equal to world query 1. Okay, so unwrap. This is also just a plain borrow. Okay, so you're also going to be a reference to a vector of point. Not that. The wrapped locations. Now we're going to cast you. Okay, so when we iterate, we're also going to enumerate, which is going to make it so that we have this as an index and a mesh, which means inside of here for draw param new, we're going to do a .dest, and we're going to give it this locations of index, and then we have to do a to array. And that should now put it in the correct position. So let's run this again, and we should now see it in the center of the screen. There we go. Okay, we're back to here again. I also want to like test to see what rotations might end up looking like. So if I do a rotation of like 5, I want to see that it like rotates on, oh, it's 5.0. That looks about right. I think it's still in the center. It's now pointed up, I think, or down. It's kind of a little bit hard to tell actually. I might want to make it so it's not an even triangle, but slightly less on each of these sides. We can do that now, actually, in our main library. When we create the player, okay, so the 0.2, that's on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, I want player size. Okay, so the Y, I want you divided by like 3 maybe. So it's gonna be ever so subtly not the same size. There you go. Now it's easy to see we're rotated up and to the left and we're still in the center. So we're good to go there. And if I wanted to re-add the red, sort of like the red dot thing, No, the red engines whenever I press the up arrow. How would I end up doing that? I think the easiest way might be to like recreate the mesh just for the player when that happens. As that would be a new system. Or it's not going to be create the player mesh, but like update mesh or something like that. Maybe like apply, like draw the thrusters mesh? Or draw the thruster system? So update update the player mesh for whatever the things. Update like add engines to player mesh. Seems like a lot, but we can do it. Okay, so if I do that, then in here we're gonna have a pub function. All right, so in here, what do we want? We know we want the context. We know we're gonna want the world. It's gonna be in there. Ooh, my tea is here. Okay, so I know I want the world. But after that, I don't think I need anything then. We're gonna return some kind of result. Let's go ahead and return just a result like that. All right. So how do I know if we're going to be doing, if we need to add the engines to the mesh, which is basically going to be recreating the mesh like completely, but this time with engines. I'm thinking for this, I think I'm gonna want to call like a recreate the player. I wonder if I'm gonna want like two different functions. Oh, with an engines, that's what it's gonna be. So first of all, to determine if we're gonna want to create the do this, we're gonna need to get the resource out that tells us if the engine is firing. So we're gonna do let is engine on, and you're gonna be a reference to a boolean. So we're gonna get a resource and our names. Firing? Thrusting. Thrusting. Okay, so let's actually is thrusting names thrusting. Okay, there we go. Oh, do I not have names in here? That's why I couldn't find it. Okay, so we have that. Get resource is going to give us a result, so we can question mark U. And I think that's it. So that gives us a Boolean. Are we now in like a thrusting state? And if we are in a thrusting state, time for like we're going to replace the mesh. I wonder also, do I need to have anything special like the current state? Because if I replace, basically in this case, I am going to be drawing the player every single frame. Like I'm recreating this mesh every single frame, but in the update. I mean, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's certainly not as efficient as it could be. Because I could... Yeah, right now, if it's thrusting, if I ever go to not thrusting, this isn't going to fire. We're going to have to test this and then like start redrawing, but we don't have like, we don't know if like the previous state wasn't thrusting. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess like right now, it's not really add engines to player mesh systems then, is it? This is going to be just create player mesh system. And if I do the create player mesh system, I wonder if we should like go back and do this hybrid idea. The player gets its own mesh at all times. So that'll be one draw. All the asteroids get their own meshes too. Or no, get one mesh. One mesh for all the asteroids, one mesh for the player, and maybe one mesh for the bullets or missiles or whatever we want to call them. And then like the alien UFO that flies around, that could have its own mesh too. That would be only like 4 draws, which is pretty good for this. So I think, you know, I kind of like, I know I'm sort of going back and forth, but I feel like I'm narrowing in on what I really want to do here. So I think I want this, we're going to get the is thrusting. I think we're going to have it be as a resource. So this would become a mutable world that we would need because we're going to be setting the resource for the player. And we're just going to be setting, hey, here, like we're rewriting the player exactly where they are, and then we'll rotate at the very end. I think that's going to be a little bit easier. Which means that we can come back to here. We're not going to register this mesh anymore. We're going to go back to add resource. I think that's going to happen in the update because I think update always happens first. So you don't need to happen. But I think we should have this this function should exist somewhere. Let's just take you away. I'm not gonna need you. Or you. You're just gonna create the player with component location. but now it doesn't have the mesh anymore. Okay. So we should be okay with that. We're gonna move back to add the engines to player mesh, which is now just create the player mesh system. And I'm gonna throw this function here as a private function in here. This is gonna create the player mesh. This is gonna create player mesh without engines. And I wonder if I want, like, how I want to do that with engines. Before it gets too far, I want to come to this file. So add engines to player. I want to rename you, and this is going to be create player mesh. That should update that mod too. So we, oh, no. Couldn't find it. Oh, I need to just save you. That's it. That's all I need to do. All right, then all those errors go away. Okay. We know if we're thrusting or not. We know we're gonna be just updating and overwriting the player mesh. So in names, I'm gonna replace this again, once again, with player mesh. Then we'll have different meshes for each of the different things. So, what do I want to do here? We're gonna have create a player mesh without the engines, let's say. I'm thinking like this is the player triangles. Let's do that here. So let player triangles. I wonder if this could be a const. No, not really, because we don't know what this is necessarily at any point in time. Player size. We're gonna need a player size. That should be in a resource. And we already have that in a resource here. So we can get the player size out. So let's grab that here. I think that's a F32. Yeah, it is. All right, so get resource. Get our player size. All right, so we have that now. Oh, we have our context. We could create this, or we could just create the triangles on their own. Kind of like the idea of this just be like the base triangles of where the player ship is unrotated. So create unrotated ship. We don't need the context. We do need the player size. And in this case, we're returning an array of 0.2 with F32 inside, and there is 3. Okay, so we have that. Then the next thing we need is where to place the engines, like the little thruster triangle. So we probably need to create that too. So create thrusters. We're also going to need the player size just to figure out where it goes. And this is also going to be an array of 0.2. F32, and there's going to be 3 of them. Okay, so 0.2, we're going to have our X and our Y. Okay, so for the X, where is this going to go? If we have something like this that comes out, we want to move to the left a little bit and then up as our starting. So our X is going to be essentially this second one. So it's going to be negative player size divided by 2.0. And then our Y, let's start like maybe on the downside. That's going to be our player size divided by 4.0. So it's just a little bit smaller than the end we have here. Okay, so then we're going to have the next one. Then we want to go all the way to the left. So this is going to be we have a negative player size divided by 2. I wonder if I would just want to go like all the way out. So just negative player size. And then the Y is going to be a 0.0. The X is going to be our negative player size divided by 2.0. The Y is going to be negative player size divided by 4.0. Okay, so that's what we're going to return here. Just going to do that like that. So now we can we have the triangles here. So actually, I can just call the function to grab that. All right. What do we need here? So we have player size, thrusting. Can we actually just create the mesh at this point in time? We have the thruster color. Okay, so we can grab the thruster color out. Which you're going to be a reference to a color. And then I think that's enough for us to create our mesh. So let's go ahead and do our mesh. It's going to be equal to, so mesh builder, new. And you're actually a mutable reference, I think. Or do we just do this and we have your mutable? And then we're gonna do like a mesh dot triangles. This has to be, okay, so a reference to create ship. Hand it the player size. Can do that. Hand it color, which in this case we know is white. Do we have a player ship color? We don't. We can add that in. Okay, we're gonna just make you white right now. Back to here, we can grab this out. Okay, so then this will be the player ship color. And you return a result. So I think I have to unwrap you. Found that. I need to dereference you. Okay. Set does that, and then what I want to do is store this mesh inside the world. So let's and we build that in order to do that. So I'm gonna do a world dot add resource names. This is gonna be the player mesh, and the data is gonna be our mesh dot build. Hand it this context and unwrap you. So if I just do this, even though I'm not using these other functions, if we come back out to the main library, we have the create player mesh. So in update, we handle the input system, and then I'm going to do the create player mesh, hand the context, and this needs mutable stuff.world. We need to unwrap you because I'm not returning the right kind of result for that. Then in our draw system, it's gonna be slightly different. So we have to figure this out. So we need to kind of like just redo this. We need to grab the player mesh. So that like the player mesh case type is world.get resource player mesh. Okay, so we can do that. Then once we have our player mesh, we do need our locations. Okay, so then we're just going to cast that. Oh, it's, we can question mark you. Okay, so now we have our player mesh and we have our locations. I think right now that's all enough. We don't have rotation set up yet, but we can do that. So we're going to do a draw. We're going to hand it the player mesh, the draw param new, give it the destination of in this case, we're going to need some way to tell like what kind of entity we're working with here. for right now, we know that it's like locations of 0. And that's going to work for this second, but it's certainly not going to work in the long term, because as soon as we create a second anything else, all right, so I wonder if that will work. And can we still get our player mesh? Okay, yes, our player mesh is still there. Now pressing up doesn't do anything yet, but that's because we need to re-add in when we are creating our player mesh. We need to know if we're thrusting, and if we are, we need to then add in these other triangles. So we have this mesh triangles, that's the main ship. Then we're gonna have an if is thrusting if we're thrusting, we're going to do a mesh triangles, and this is going to be a reference to create thrusters. And then the color is going to be the thruster color. Okay, so with nothing else, if I just run this and I hit the up arrow, there, our thrusters now appear still, so we're good to go there. What I'm really curious about, and I'm just a teeny tiny bit concerned, is what happens if I rotate this? So I want to, in the main, let's go to library, let's give a rotation. I'm going to quickly rearrange this. I'm starting to get enough of these in here. I want to do this by alphabetical order really quickly. Okay. And then you go. Yeah, there. Okay, so now what I want to do is rotation. Add you in, and I'll just start. This one, it doesn't really matter. But this one, I feel like it's easier to sort of like see, hey, what do I have? I want to like search through it really quickly. Okay, so we have rotation there. Let's come back out to the main library. I'm gonna register names rotation, and the component type is an F32. That and so now we're gonna add, okay, for the player, rotation, and our data, we're gonna start with 0.0. I want to grab that information out when we draw. Mr. Bahan, hello. Good morning. I'm working on a asteroid clone. And so we're trying to get I'm using a homegrown ECS crate as well, just sort of like to learn ECS systems a little bit better, and sort of like see how they work behind the scenes, or at least how they could work behind the scenes, and obviously improve my skills. And so we're about to try to experiment with like rotating the ship and see how it looks like. So if I now want, we have our destination. If I add in a rotation here, this can be our rotations, but I need like an index. So if that's not gonna work out, but I guess for right now, that will work, just sort of like to test things out. But we're gonna have to have some kind of marker to know what something is. All right, so given that, everything should still work. We should still be able to draw the player. No, okay, what happened? So convert asteroids, lib 64. So in our draw system, attempted to cast component from point, this point to an F-32. Oh, wait a second. Our rotation. Let's see, add resource. Oh, wait. Rotation component F-32. Okay, so I did that. That should be right. Do I have to tell you an F-32? Like location is all that stuff. Rotation. Okay, so that is in the draw. Oh, wrapped locations. Ah, this needs to be wrapped rotations to cast that. There we go. Okay, so now we have our guy. If I press the forward button, our engines launch. I want to create a new system now to slowly rotate and increment that rotation. So I'm going to like update rotation. All right, what do we need in here? We know we need the world. It is just in there. Okay, so this could be just a reference to the world. And we're gonna return a result. That. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Did I just like paste that in? I didn't want to do that. Okay, update the rotations. I want to grab the rotations out. So that. Okay, so query the rotations, unwrap, and borrow. We're gonna cast, which means you need to know what we're getting. Oh, and question mark. You're gonna be we need to borrow mute. And we need to cast mute. So you can be a mutable vector of F32. Okay, so here we have our rotations now. All I want to do with this is just slowly update our rotation. So I think we can do is just rotations of, actually I don't think I need to dereference if I'm going into like just the first one. So let's just do the first one, plus equals 0.1. We're going to come back out to the main library. So update rotation system. We can do that anywhere really. Let's do that here. And so just with that, let's see if our ship is rotating around and how it looks. Hey, look at that. Okay, this looks pretty well. So even when I do my start the thrusters, it's working just fine. So excellent. Okay, so for update rotation, I don't need you to do anything. We're gonna have to come into this later to actually update, to give it an updated to actually point it in a direction that it's going. I think we actually can figure that out based upon the velocity. The problem is I don't have any velocity, so we need to add that. So we're going to want we have a location, we need a velocity, and we also need an acceleration. So as we're holding forward, it's incrementing our accelerations. So we're going to want this as, so we have location, we need a velocity and an acceleration. And so let's go ahead and register those two components. So we can do acceleration first, and you're going to be a component of a point. Flinty Rusty, hello. Epic Blarg, hello. Utsby, hello. Facing direction is independent of velocity in asteroids. Wait, really? You're right. It is. I totally forgot that. It's just based on what we're... Oh, right. Because you can turn, but still be moving backwards. Oh, okay. So that just means whenever I hit the left button, we're just changing our rotation. Got it. Okay, that's gonna be both easier and harder. It's gonna be easier for the drawing the location, the rotation, and figuring that out. It might be harder for figuring out where to fire, but I'm sure we'll figure that out. So let's add in, we have the names, a velocity component. You're also a point. So when we're creating our player here, so with components, names, sure, we'll do it in the opposite direction. This is going to be a point, new. We're going to start you with 0.0, so 0 velocity. Acceleration, point, new. Okay, and no acceleration either. But you're right, facing direction is independent. So that's gonna be interesting. Flinty Rusty, so you're the new guy at work, but the team hasn't set up the VPN. So while waiting, they got you writing test cases without seeing the actual system. Oh no. That's gonna be interesting because you can't even run it, can you? Like, you're writing tests without even knowing if the tests are right. I don't, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope that you get your VPN access soon so you can actually see what you're doing. Okay, so we have to create player with that. Yeah, you can't run it. Yeah. Now, right now, we have the ability when we have this handle input system, and so inside of it, we're able to say, okay, if we're hitting the thrust key code, go ahead and set like thrusting to be true, or it's going to be false. This means that we can have another system for like adding thrust, like updating the accelerations. So let's go ahead and add that. That's going to be update acceleration RS. For the world, I think we just need a reference to the world. So once we have that, we need the is thrusting. So we need to know if we're thrusting or not. Okay, so that's going to give us our thrusting. So now we know if we are thrusting or not. If we are thrusting, we need to then, well, just apply some, like apply to the acceleration of the player. We're going to need some kind of like speed. So let's head over to names. So like the thrust speed, essentially. Oh, it's gonna be up here. And we're going to want to add that in as a resource. And our data is going to be an F32. Let's make this, I don't actually know what we should make this. Let's try like 1.0. But now in update accelerations, we can get that out. Once we have that out, then we need the accelerations. Okay, so thrust speeds, unwrap in case we don't find it. We're gonna just, we need to borrow mute this. You're gonna be a mutable reference to a vec. Oh, which means you need to be mute. Okay, so you're gonna be a mutable reference to a vector of a point. And then we're gonna cast mute you. All right, so that gives us now our accelerations. So then, now I still don't have this marker. We still only have one thing. We really want to, I really want to give it a, I guess I'm just gonna go into like the first one for right now. I sort of feel like there's so many better ways to do this. But for the first one, which you know as a player, because it's the only thing we have in here right now, I want to then plus equals, and it's the points, right? So then that's gonna be our thrust speed. Oh, I don't think I have like a plus equals for that. Because I don't think I can do like a thrust speed to a point. Yeah, expecting a point and got an F32. I could create a point, but I don't think... Let's see, how do I want to do that? If I do the thrust speed... it needs to be some kind of like a vector or point in this case. It needs to be in the direction we're facing. Oh, so okay. It's not going to be quite this simple. I need to know my rotation, and then I need to be able to create the vector essentially of the rotation. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of math here. So yeah, let's come back and take a look at our whiteboard. The idea is if, like right now, we have something like this, right? Oh God, we have something like this, with our center point being here and a rotation being 0. Rotation is a F32. So if rotation becomes like this, it's a it's not the angle, it's the, oh, what do they call it? It's in draw. Oh, thank you so much. That was so helpful. Go find. Like whatever this rotation is it actually the angle, or is it a is it something else? I want to say it's something else. Like there's the two different types of rotations, and I forget the name of what the other one is. Radians. Yeah, it's okay. It's rotation in radians. So if I Google for rotate, like I want like from a point. So like vector calculate rotations in radians. Okay, vector representation of rotations. Oh, this is gonna be lovely. So basically we have the location is just the same as the flocking rotation and also the inverse, is it? Basically, hey, I'm doing this like inverse of where, okay, so I have a rotation, which is F32, like how much I'm, like the radians that I'm rotating. I need to know the direction of that, right? Is this just gonna be like converting radians to a vector, essentially? You can convert the rotation to a facing vector. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I want to convert radians to a vector. If you have an angled radians in the range negative, let's see. Oh, it's just tangent. Okay, so because we were doing arc tangent, and now we're doing tangent. Peyton rules with a rating party of 44. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, this is gonna be a nice break. Let's go ahead and play the streamer game because I want to get away from math. We'll go ahead and play the get the streamer game. How's everybody doing? The separate cosine and sine there was fine. Okay, because that's kind of what's happening with tangent, right? Oh man, it's been so long since I've like done any of that math. It's just always like, oh, let me just try what you say, and then it'll work out. I actually have I've been preparing and setting up so I can actually write some of these learned lessons down. Peyton rules, you're failing math and testing is flounder on stream day. Well, welcome to here. We were just starting to get into that floundering ourselves. But besides the floundering, how's your stream? All right, we have the Get the Streamer game up and running. You can play it in chat by doing a bunch of commands, and I'm gonna try to avoid you for as long as I can. Hopefully 2 minutes. take that heart. No. Okay. And lost the heart immediately too. Oh. Oh, I thought I could get through there to get to the heart. Got greedy. I got greedy. All right, so we were in the middle of trying to figure out this entire thing with the rotation. But okay, so the inverse is atan. That was the opposite. And what I want is the normal one, right? So that's why it's tan. So if I and then converting it to, okay, so the x and y is like the cosine of a, and the y is the sine of a. Oh, okay. That's okay. That's what that is. So if, it's cosine for x and sine for y. So if I come down to here in not draw param and update rotation, we want the let x is going to be the rotations of 0 dot cosine. Let y equal to rotations of 0 dot sine. Yeah, cosine and sine. And then we can create a point from this. So let this is basically the rotation is equal to a new point with x and y. And then I want to, so that's our rotation. I want to normalize this. So let's go ahead and mute that. Rotation dot normalize. I want to rotations dot. Do I not have a multiply? Our speed. Oh, update rotations. Wait a second. Do I really want to do this here? No, this is not where I want to do it. I want to do this in the update accelerations here. So we have rotate. Okay, so we need to get our rotations out. So it's gonna be the entire wrapped rotations equal to dot query 1. We're just gonna borrow that. Okay, rotations can be type a vec of F32. You're probably right. I think it probably is already normalized. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that until I actually know that I need to. Okay, so a wrapped rotations dot, we just need to cast. That gives us our rotations. So we just figure out what that is. We create a rotation point. Let's not even normalize it. At this point, we then want to say accelerations, position 0, dot multiply. It can't be a scalar, so it's going to be times equals the rotation. Oh, it's not times equals. It's plus equals. Can I just do like an add? Add rotation. Mismatch tape, expected, oh, a reference. Right, rotation doesn't immediately update it. Okay, so then we're happy here. Oh yeah, I don't need like the thrusting speed. Okay, I need to then, this does need to be, okay, hold on. Mutable, we're gonna take the rotation. If is thrusting, like really, this is what we want to do. Like if we're thrusting, we want to add this in. So we're gonna say our rotation times dot multiply scalar thrust speed. And really, like all of this stuff can happen inside of here. And then update acceleration system will happen in the main library. Okay, and then we have to update, like, we have to update the, with the acceleration, then we have to update the velocity, and then the locations. That's going to be like another system here. So this is update, update physics, update like movement. I think that's all we need. Okay, so what do we need out of here? We need the accelerations, we need the velocity, and we need the locations. And everything's gonna be mutable. So let wrapped accelerations. Okay, so we're gonna borrow mute. Right, so we also want the wrapped velocity. And then the locations. Can Brooks get the movement code in before having to stop for work? I know. This is gonna be a really close one. I may have to like skip my meditation in the morning. Location, unwrap, mute. Actually, you know what I could do? Because they have this here. Okay. We'll do. Okay, you have You have 1 minute to make a prediction. 1 minute to make a prediction. I don't know how that works, but okay, so let's see. We have the wrapped locations. Now it's time for us to get all these out. So let accelerations, which is going to be a mutable reference to a vec of point, equals the wrapped accelerations dot cast mute. That, and you are going to be the velocities. You're also that, and wrapped velocities. This is going to be locations. Not available in your region. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, locations. So velocities. We cast those all of mute. Okay, so we have all of this out here. I want to take the accelerations and add them to the velocities. So we're gonna say velocities dot add velocities of 0. Add accelerations of 0. Okay, so that's the first one. Locations of 0. Add velocities of 0. And then accelerations of 0 dot multiply scalar 0.0. Mismatch types found. So expect reference. Okay, what are you upset about? Cannot borrow. You all need to be mutable. Update movement system. I've probably forgotten something, but I don't know what I forgot. So let's see. Let's just run it, see what happens. Cool. Okay, so that causes thread make panic on option and unwrap on a none value in update acceleration. So an update acceleration. So is thrusting is true. So it's an unwrap on a none value. So does that mean thrust speed? That's not a query. Wait. Well, no, okay, hold on. Query 1 thrust speed. Why are we wrapped accelerations? Accelerations. Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. Okay, that was a little bit strong. That was a little bit fast. But that worked. Okay, let's do 0.2. I'm able to move a ship. I'm able to move a ship. Oh man, that's great. Let's see. Now, how do I see the result of that prediction? Can I see that, or did you? Okay, where did it go? Where is it? Oh, choose prediction outcome. 100% of you thought that I could do it. So choose outcome. Yes, complete prediction. I think you should have been paid now. Let me know if that didn't work. This is the first time I think that I actually figured out how to do the prediction right. Last time I did a prediction, I forgot to do the outcome, which is not the best if you're going to do that entire like channel points thing. But cool, we are able to get that working. Now, there's a lot that still needs to be done. For example, you may notice that inside it here, I'm doing a lot of this like rotations of 0. That's because there's no way for me to know what is a player in any of these, any of these entities. We create a player with just all these components, and we just happen to know that it's position 0 because it's the first entity that we create. But once I create a bunch of asteroids moving around, we won't know what a player is and what an asteroid is. Especially if we like delete the player and re-add the player again after we lose a life, it won't be in the first position anymore. So it'll be like, I don't know. So we probably need some kind of marker component. And what I'm thinking that might end up being is like a string. We can have like a string as the data and be able to say, okay, this is a player. This is like the label of what it is, or like what type it is. So yeah, we're probably gonna have to do that just so that I can see, are you a player? Are you an asteroid? Are you something else? Because everything is gonna have all of these components. And then the other thing is I might want to go back and add in, I don't know, like maybe I want to add some of the other things in here or not, I don't know. But that's gonna be starting with next time tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and wind down the stream. It is 8:39, which means I am way over my normal time for ending, but I think we sort of like got a good end here. Let's see, let's go